Hi guys, we are here at Cardinal Creek. We're just coming here to have fun, so come along with us, okay? That's the natural thing that I'm actually going to. It's very funny. So guys, that was my friend Blessing who introduced us to the vlog. So we are here with the North Melbourne Center community, and we are here to just get some morning tea. We're actually with some of the elderly citizens, and also um, this is an initiative to help people to actually see sites in Melbourne. So I'm pretty excited, and we're just gonna show you around a bit. Then, yeah, I hope you enjoy. Just to give more context on why we were going on this trip. So, first of all, to actually go there by yourself, you'd need maybe like $150, $160. But because we were going with the senior citizens, we had a subsidized cost. And this is an initiative to help senior citizens to stay fit. So they actually create tours where senior citizens can, build community. They go and do certain activities. They don't tour the place like you would normally tour the place, where you'd spend a lot of hours like at the beach, and you do more of those high energy activities. So for them, the focus or the objective is just to make sure that they go for like a nice lunch, they go for activities like bird watching or bird feeding. They see the scenery, they walk, they also have like a nice lunch, and they get to spend time with other senior citizens. So it was a very nice initiative, and I'm so grateful that I went with Blessing, because we were the only two black people, and we were just three students. So it would have really been awkward for me in the beginning. But it was really eye-opening in the sense that it made me realize that what I think is important now, like, how sometimes you'll be so stressed, and maybe because of school or because things are not going a certain way, when you get to spend time with the elderly, like, it puts a lot of things into context on what really matters in life. And some of the conversations that I got to have with them, despite the fact that they are not African or we come from different places, but I could find so much to relate about with them. I met a Japanese like woman who was telling me that, like, we don't eat a lot of meat in Japan, and it's because Japan was once poor, and I know that you as an African, you can relate to that. And she started even telling me that, I know, like, in Zimbabwe we've got this waterfall. It was one of those seven wonders of the world. So you realize, like, that sometimes we have these mental blocks just because somebody's not from Africa, or they're not like your normal everyday people, but you realize that you can learn a lot from them. And I really appreciated meeting these people, because I would not meet them in everyday life. I also got to speak to this Australian who traveled to Namibia. She traveled to the Far East, and she was just sharing her experiences with me, like what it was like meeting the San people from Namibia, and she said they used to make these click sounds, and it was something that she found to be funny, and she said one of the, because I think they were traveling on a program, and one of the people that was in Namibia, like when she saw that like a group of white people from Australia had come to Namibia, they were supposed to swim together. And this guy said, no, I'm not swimming with those people, just because they're white. So it makes you realize, like, there are so many prejudices that we have. And sometimes these are just social contrasts that don't exist in the real life, And I was really happy to spend time with these people because it made me feel, reassured that things work out the way God wants them to work out. And I feel like this was God's sign for us to just take a break and relax and not to think so much or to take things too seriously. One of the misconceptions that I've always had is like, I always think because people were born here, everything is going according to plan and they have never had to suffer, and life is just cozy and rosy for them. But I realize that, like, everybody's going through something, and sometimes it takes you coming out of your own bubble, out of your own circle of friends, or out of your own experience to realize, no, like, there are people who are also struggling, outside of myself. Like, I remember one of the ladies that we went on that trip, like, she couldn't even stand up. She was having labored breathing, and that was just God trying to remind me that, like, even though I'm suffering, like, there are also other people that are suffering. And I remember I got to stand next to her, and there was another guy. He's 70 years old. He's the driver, and he was the one who was pushing her on a wheelchair, and it spoke so many volumes to me. Like, this is another elderly person, another senior citizen helping another senior citizen. And I feel like when we go through situations, sometimes we forget that we can help people, that we can be of service, we can create value, we can do something positive outside of our own pain or misery or whatever it is that we're going through. So I feel like that was an important thing for me to see. And, like, me and Blessing, we also got to, reflect on how this was a much needed experience because, because you're living alone and you don't have family, and like sometimes you don't even get to spend a lot of time with people who speak your language. You come home and you're by yourself and you are your own company. If you don't cook, nobody cooks, so sometimes I feel like because of that, you can end up being very antisocial or very self-absorbed, or you can end up living in this world that is just by yourself, and when you do things like this, it helps you to just remind you that there's another world out there. And I felt like that was God's way of speaking to us, just reminding us that, like, we have to come out of whatever it is that we're going through and just see life from other people's perspectives. I didn't give them any rules. So we got to see pelicans, which are some of the largest aquatic birds in Australia. And the funny thing about them is they give birth to two offspring, like they lay two eggs. And one of the eggs, the superior one, will almost attack the inferior one so that they are left with one. And when like they give birth, they take care of the young up till 7 weeks of age, when the chicks just, they just leave, like, we've come out of age. And when they leave, they go and they live with other young chicks, and I think they find a foster parent. And so these birds, they actually don't live at Phillip Island, but they come there to feed. And the lady was saying it's a random thing. So maybe today 2 come, or next day it might be 50 that come, or there's no bird that comes at all the following day. And they are very interesting birds to watch. I feel like, being in Australia allows you to see a lot of species, species that are unique, like those aquatic birds. They can fly up to 24 kilometers in air. They can also swim. They are a very peculiar type of bird, I feel. Even the size of their beaks, and how large they are. And I really got to enjoy watching that lady feed those birds. And she's been doing this for 50 years. Imagine, you guys, like, sometimes, like, you're just like, what? I was just shocked. And that's the beauty about traveling. I think sometimes when you travel, that's when you're like, wow, like, there are people who are that devoted. And I think one of the things I've been learning in Australia is just how much care these people really invest in livestock. Like, the other time I was working at a farm, and this lady, she found an abundant, like, I think this bird was just trapped in the office. So she captured it, she fed it, and then she released it in the wild. And even the way they carry the animals, like, you can't just carry an animal anyhow or lift it anyhow. Like, you lift it with care. You treat the animal like you would treat a person. And I feel like sometimes it's those little things, when I now compare, like, how I can also improve where I am, like, it's that mentality of saying, okay, imoka, but I have to be nice to this animal. It also has feelings. So yeah, it was an important perspective to also learn, like, just the thoughtfulness. Like, that lady who was feeding the pelicans, she even mentioned not to throw away plastics, because the pelicans will use these plastics to make nesting materials, because again, when an animal is nesting, it'll use whatever it finds. So yeah, like, it was an interesting teachable moment for me, and I know that they also have a lot that they are learning from us. Like, now, this whole coming from confinement, like keeping animals in cages, like, they have banned that in chickens. They are also trying to ban the use of, like, stalls in pigs. And they are moving towards free range, and everything free range. This side of the world is very expensive. So we have always been doing free range, So it's amazing that there's this cross culture of knowledge. Like, we're learning something from them. They are also learning something from us. So I did mention that there were 3 students, me, Blessing, and Yunai. Yunai is from Indonesia, and she's actually from my school. We actually come from the same faculty. And I got to speak to her, and, we were just sharing ideas. And it was also nice, understanding her perspective of things, and how she feels like she will be able to incorporate what she's learning in the real life. So it was a great moment for us to connect and share ideas.
That's my school. Freedom, drive, and make sure they're okay. We spend an hour looking after them at the end of the day.
And this one needs to sleep there.
So guys, we're here at the farm. We've got so many activities. We just finished the wood cracking, and there are so many animals here. Maybe we'll just show you around. Okay, come with us. Guys, we've just seen the whip cracking. The noise was, yeah, it was affecting my ear. But it was interesting because I've never seen it, and, like, it's actually a technique. I also saw a wild pig coexisting with chickens, which is very interesting. And right behind me is a pony, so I'll try and show you. Look at it. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Smart, eh? He kicks it. For
The wool.
clothes. They have the Merino series at Uniqlo now.
Oh,
Yeah, it is
it's
really soft.
you don't have the
2000
money to be.
just to feel the textile. It's way more soft than cashmere when I touch it at Uniqlo. It's 50 to.
This marks the end of our video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hype the video, like the video. It tells YouTube you enjoyed it. Remember to expose yourself to people you would not necessarily speak to on a daily basis and explore the world around you. Until then, sala kahle, sobonana, subscribe to the channel.